Hi. Today I want to talk about disappointment and how expectations lead to disappointment. Because most of what we call disappointment isn't caused by life at all. It's caused by the version of life we expected, the version we thought we were entitled to. And when reality doesn't match it, we say we're disappointed, as if reality has somehow failed us. But in practice, disappointment is one of the most honest teachers we have. It reveals the illusions we were living in. It shows us the gap between what actually happened and what we imagined would happen. And that gap is where all the emotional pain sits. Expectations are a funny thing. We don't see them until they've already blown up. They're basically self-predictions that we treat as guarantees. Psychologically, when we expect something, our body releases dopamine as if the outcome was already secured. So we get the reward before anything has ever happened. Then when life does something different, we crash. It's not personal, it's biology mixed with fantasy. We've imagined that something would happen. We've imagined that success would come. But when we don't achieve that success, we get disappointed. When we don't have the ice cream we were promised, we get disappointed. Why? Because we've had the rush, we've had the dopamine hit that says, yeah, we're going to get something lovely. Anyway, Spinoza said that hope and fear are two sides of the same coin of imagination. And he's right. When we live in imagined futures, we set ourselves up for the emotional swings. That's the roundabout. These swings are like a roller coaster. They go up and down. They're never stable. They just stay in constant flux, up and down, up and down. You get hope, and then you get disappointment. Then you get hope and disappointment. Hope's always married to fear. So when you have hope, you have fear, but they both come out of expectations. When you reach the pivot of the event whereby your expectation was meant to occur, then you either get disappointment or elation. Which are you going to get? Disappointment or elation? Whichever you get, you will still get down after. Why? Because you've already had the dopamine hit. It's just what happens. This practice teaches us to recognise this, to say, I wanted this, so I believe it was owed to me. Instead of believing it, we observe it, we recognise it, we see it for what it is. And this honesty alone can dismantle at least half of the suffering we undergo. Its absurdity is even funny when you watch yourself and you see that actually all this angst is caused by your hope, your expectation and disappointment. You'll find it amusing. Let me break it down a bit. Disappointment hurts for three main reasons. Firstly, the body. This is the dopamine surge with anticipation and the withdrawal when it doesn't happen, or when it does happen, it's still a withdrawal. We do call this the roller coaster. We get a boost in dopamine on the expectation. Then when we get an outcome, good or bad, the dopamine rush ends. We're looking for what next? What's next? What's next? What's next? To try and get that rush again. That rush of expectation. We don't want the down of disappointment or even the down of having something good happening, because it's always a down. You get a nice sparkly bright new car and you think yay, then after you've got it it's like, oh, now I've got to pay for it. Or now I've got to, whatever. It's not the excitement of the expectation. So as I said, we're always looking for what's next. Secondly, the ego takes a hit. The mind takes it as a personal failure with lessened prospects of survival. It's as if the world not matching your script says something about your worth. And thirdly, we're culturally embedded. We're raised on stories that effort equals positive outcomes, that kindness will be reciprocated, and fairness is guaranteed. Again, this is another funny fairy story. It's societal rubbish. None of that is actually true. They're just stories we're conditioned into believing because they make life more bearable. But with the practitioners, in the practice, we address disappointment by going straight to the root. The first thing we do is name it to expectation. What did I think should happen? Most of the time we don't realise what we're expecting. We don't realise we're expecting anything at all, but we were. And we can tell this by the disappointment or the elation that we get once we've achieved whatever it was. It could be a nice word from somebody, or it could be expecting to do a job and be given £20 rather than 10. And we thumb through the money and we've got 10. Disappointment. This is happening around us all the time. And to understand this, we need to notice a story around it. Things like, because I did this, they should do that. For example, because I bought them a coffee, they should buy me a coffee next time. Or if I show up fully, other people will respond in kind. Well, if you show up, it's only perhaps they will show up too. Maybe if you're arranged to meet somebody 5 minutes before, they don't turn up. Or as for me today, we were promised that somebody would come round and do some services for us, and they decided they weren't going to show up, so we had to do it ourselves. Were we disappointed? Yes. But was it funny? Yes. It turns a crisis into a joy purely because it's amusing to see our expectation around it all. These are all assumptions, they're not reality. I assume somebody will turn up to do what they promised they would do. No. How do you know it should happen? You imagined it. I imagined that they should have turned up. They didn't. That was it. Then we come back to the body. Disappointment is physical before it becomes a narrative. There's a droop, a drop in your body, a tightness, a heaviness, tension. You can feel your shoulders drop down physically. Oh. So instead of building a story on top of it, we just notice what the body is actually doing. What is the body doing? The body physically mirrors how the mind is feeling. Disappointment is a droop. From there we strip the moment back to the facts. What happened? What did I imagine would happen? And can I separate the two without adding commentary? Spinoza talks a lot about adequate and inadequate ideas, and this is really the difference. An adequate idea is what you have in front of you. An inadequate idea is the story you make up. So, for example, the person today who is meant to be doing a service for me, she contacted me and said, I had to work last night and did a late night, so I can't come today. Well, is that true? I don't know. I don't care if it's true. It's none of my business. All I know for sure is that she's not going to turn up today and do what she promised, which just gives me disappointment. Not adding the commentary, the imagined, the inadequate information, as Spinoza would call it. That's really the core of the practice, to remove the illusion so that reality can be seen directly. All I know is that she didn't turn up. I know that she said she wasn't going to turn up. That's it. That's all I know. Why? Doesn't matter. I was disappointed. That's all. That's what I know. Okay, I can give you a few more examples. Let me give you a few more examples because this might make it easier. So imagine a friend who doesn't show up for something important. You feel hurt because the story is they should know how important this is. But the reality is simply that they didn't come. The disappointment comes from the script we wrote for them, that they should have been there, not from the event itself. Another example is that you create something, a piece of writing, a video like this or a project, and you imagine people will respond with enthusiasm. When they don't, it feels like rejection. Again, you're disappointed. You're disappointed because you were hoping for some feedback. you're hoping for an applause, really, or it's all in your expectation. That expectation came from your imagination. People react according to their own internal world, not yours. The practice we do here reminds you that you create because it's your nature, not because of predictive reactions. So I'm doing this video because it's my nature to do the video, because I'm enjoying doing it, not because I want 1,000 likes. So let's get on to something a little bit more personal, if you like. The deepest disappointment comes from family relationships that don't change, no matter how much effort you put into them. The pain isn't from the relationship, it's from the expectation. You expect that it should look different by now. You expect that after all the work you put in and the lack of work that they haven't put in, that you should have a different outcome, but you don't. Disappointment is not a problem to solve, it's a compass. It points directly at the illusions we haven't dismantled yet. Every disappointment shows us where we're still projecting into the future, trying to control life with imagination. When we stop that, something shifts. A life with fewer expectations isn't passive. It's clear. You're not pre-spending that dopamine. You're not creating emotional roller coasters with imagined outcomes. You're not scripting other people's behaviour that when it comes to it, they don't obey. You're not constantly crashing into your own fantasies. You meet life just as it is, not as you would like it to be. And that's where freedom is. So here's something simple for you to try. The next time you feel disappointed, see if you can pause. Ask yourself, what was I expecting here? Find the expectation. Explore. See what you're actually expecting that was different from the outcome you got. When you've found that expectation, see if you can notice your body. Where in your body do you feel this? What tension are you feeling? What disappointment? Where is disappointment in your body? It's interesting how we hold different emotions in different parts of our bodies, and each one has its own home. And then try and separate what happened from what you imagined should have happened. That's the practice. You don't control the world. You don't bend to the world. You don't bend life to your will. You just observe it. And with the observation, you get free because you're just seeing life clearly, without the illusions layered on top. Clarity is everything in life. Thank you. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe or buy my book on Spinoza or something. Anyway, it's nice to talk and hope you enjoyed listening, and if you've got a comment, I would love to read it. Thank you.